All right, Sam, I appreciate you doing this for me. You know, I belong to a lot of autism groups,
Hmm.
and I've been looking at some of the comments, what they've gone through, but I'm going to ask you questions about autism from a stepfather's point of view.
Okay.
First of all, how old were you? How old was Anthony when you met him?
18 months.
18 months? And what was he like at that age?
Uh, he didn't do much. Just, he didn't talk, he didn't walk, he really didn't crawl. He just was in his high chair or in his bassinet crib. Um, he would make different noises depending on what he wanted and if he was hungry or thirsty or whatever.
Okay. And he's not your biological child, right?
Correct.
Okay. Was Anthony's disability a question in marrying his mother?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Why do you say that?
Because it wasn't. It was her son, your son, and I had no. It was the whole package. So I knew exactly what was involved, and it didn't factor in at all.
Okay. Since you met him at such a young age, what was it like being a stepfather dad to him?
It was. It was challenging. It had its moments. You want to try to influence him the best you can. Um, Raise him as your own, even though his dad was part of his life. Anthony was with me and us a majority of the time, and he just wanted to do what was right for him.
All right. Do you regret getting involved with a woman that had an autistic son?
No, no, I don't regret it.
Okay. What was the hardest thing you went through with Anthony? And please explain in detail.
Well, the hardest thing was when his dad died last year. Um, that was a very difficult time. Not because we were going through the emotions of losing Tony as well. Tony was not only Anthony's dad, but he was family. Um, he was my closest male friend, um, somebody I can talk to, guy. um, I can relate to him. He could relate to me. We would talk about different things, sports or just life. So it was hard, you know, losing Tony as a friend, and then dealing with Anthony, him not being able to express his true feelings on losing his father at such a young age. So it was a very, very difficult time. But working together, there were a lot of ups, a lot of downs. Um, but we pushed through it, and Anthony's doing a lot better now.
Okay, can you explain more in detail the downside of losing his father, Tony, and what exactly happened with Anthony? His reactions. How did he act?
Well, he was upset. He not naturally, and he didn't know how to express it, so it came out in a lot of anger, a lot of violence, a lot of what's the word I'm looking for?
Meltdowns?
Well, meltdowns, but like retaliating against us. He didn't know how to express it. He wanted what he wanted, no matter what it was, and if he didn't get his way immediately, he would act out, and it got physical. Um, he would swing and hit and spit and curse at us, and he he is a strong boy. He was 22 years old when his father, just about 22 when his father passed, and he outweighed us. He's since lost some weight, but still, I mean, it was a struggle. It got physical.
Were you able to get some outside help?
We got a little bit of outside help from the community. I forgot the name of the group that we had, but they came and the first couple of weeks they spent 8 hours a day with him for 2 weeks, and that seemed to calm him a little bit. He looked forward to the people, for the lady coming, but then when her 2 weeks were up, he was like, "No lady, no more," and he didn't understand why she wasn't coming anymore. And then they sent another person here for a couple of hours a day, I think an hour or two every day, and that lasted a few more weeks until we got Anthony into a day support program.
And then
And
what did you need to get Anthony into a day support program?
well, he needed his ID waiver from the state, which is intellectual disability waiver. State of Virginia. I don't know how all the states operate, but he had an ID waiver, and that opened up a lot of doors for him to be able to get into these day support programs.
Okay, and who helped you get those waivers?
Well, that would have been his case manager, Stephanie Oliver.
So you would highly recommend any parent to get a caseworker to help open doors for their
Oh yeah,
children?
get in touch with the county or the local mental health um, division of either your county, your city, wherever it may be, and every one of them have a mental health group, and they'll assign a case manager, and that person knows all the ins and outs and what have yous of how to get assistance from the county, the state, whichever.
All right. Knowing Anthony did have a biological father, do you feel like a father to him, or do you strictly feel like you're a stepfather?
That's a tough one. Anthony knows I'm his stepfather. He knows he had a dad. Um, right now, I feel more like a father because he doesn't have a dad right now, and I try to be there for him and to be the father figure that he needs. Um, it's still transitioning. Um, yeah, I'm still a stepfather, but I'm trying to become a dad.
Okay. And you're involved in a lot of his activities, correct?
Yes, I am.
Sorry, I dropped my notes. All right, what kind of activities are you involved in?
What is Special Olympics? The bowling, basketball, track, soccer, softball. If he has dances, whatever, we always make sure that we go with him.
And Anthony has an intellectual disability, but are there children or young adults that have physical disabilities that participate in these sports?
Oh yeah, with some of them, they have physical disabilities and they participate in the Special Olympics. A majority, 90 to 95%, are all intellectual disabilities.
And there are some verbal and nonverbal, correct?
Oh yes.
Okay. And how old is Anthony now?
Anthony will be 23 in July.
Okay. And what is it like? What is he like as a young adult of 22?
He's a trip. He still wants what he wants when he wants it, and it gets harder to tell him that he can't all the time. He constantly wants to go out. He wants to be more social. We'll go out to dances and stuff. He just likes being around the people. Not that he interacts with them so much. He just likes being out. Then we'll go out. We'll be out an hour or so. I want to go home. When we come back home, I want to go out. And so it's difficult, but he loves his trains. He loves his video games.
All right, good. And what do you find most challenging dealing with Anthony?
getting him to be quiet once in a while. He constantly is talking either to himself or to us, or that's the biggest challenge. Just to have him just play his games, play with his trains, but just be quiet. He'll wake up in the morning yelling at nobody, and it's like, okay, we just don't know what he's yelling at. And we ask him, what did he say? And we don't get an answer.
Okay. If there was anything you could change about Anthony, what would it be?
Just try him to understand a little bit more about life and money, and we can't always do what we want. Um, that's probably the biggest thing I would change. I mean, outside of, him, I don't want to say normal, but not having the disabilities that he has.
Okay. Knowing what you know now and being in his life for over 21 years, if you had a second chance to make the same choices for being in his life or the choices you've made for him, would you?
Yeah, I'd do it all over again.
And what is your fondest memory with Anthony?
My fondest memory was just me and him. He was probably about 4 or 5 years old. We were in New York. We went to the Babylon train station because he had a fascination with the trains. And we were standing in front of a big, huge diesel engine. And he was tired, so we both sat down. We were actually sitting on the station platform, just looking at the diesel. And all of a sudden, the conductor was in there, and we didn't know it, the engineer, and he blew the whistle, and Anthony jumped, and I stood up with him, holding him. I thought he was going to cry, and the engineer came out and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there." And I was like, "No, that's all right. He has a fascination with trains." And then he goes, "Oh, well, come on in." And he brought us into the compartment where the engineer would drive the train. And Anthony, at 5 years old, and with his disabilities and everything else, he was fascinated by it. He just looking around, and the guy let him pull the cord to blow the whistle, and he pulled it, and then he jumped when the whistle went off. That's probably my fondest memory with him. Just he and I.
All right, and this is going to be my last and final question. What advice would you give to other stepfathers and or fathers about living with autism?
Advice is just take it one day at a time, because one day everything may be great, and the next day all hell will break loose, or all hell could be breaking loose today, and tomorrow everything could be fine. You don't know, but when things are good, they're great. I mean, watching Anthony express himself, and when he's having a good day, when he's having a great day, and some of the things he comes out with just make your life. It just makes you so happy. But the only advice is just take it day by day. And if you have that love in your heart for the child, his mother, whatever, just bear through it, and there will be another day.
All right, thank you. A matter of fact, there is one or two subjects that I've seen in the groups I'd like to touch on before we end this.
Okay.
Is Anthony on medication?
Yes, he is.
Okay. How long has he been on medication?
Years.
Do you regret him being on medication?
No, not at all. Not at all. When his meds are right, when they're doing what they're supposed to do, he's a lot more pleasurable, He doesn't get into his mood swings as much. Um, but no, there's no regrets on medication. If you have a child that needs it, by all means, medication is not a bad thing. He's and it's not like he's addicted to the medication. He's changed medications because you do build up an immunity to these types of medications. So they will switch them up every once in a while just to keep things stable.
Okay. And how many different medications is he on?
Right now, he's on a thyroid medication, but that's got really nothing to do with his disability. But for his disabilities, he's on two different medications. One of them is mainly to help him sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Seroquel. And the other one is a mood stabilizer for the daytime.
Okay. All right. Well, I think, is there anything else you want to add?
Just if you're involved with a family, either as a father or a stepfather or boyfriend, whatever, if you're involved in their life, be involved, and just stick with it.
All right. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No problem.